Broadcasting down in the bayou, it's Mark Out Mania, a podcast featuring two average Joe wrestling fans talking about the business they love and so much more. And now, here's Ryan Keefe and Patrick Fry.
And welcome to episode 21 of Mark Out Mania. Patrick, what's up, man?
Oh, not too much, man. Excited because we're 1 week closer to WrestleMania and arguably the greatest weekend in wrestling as a wrestling fan taking place in New Orleans. A lot to talk about on the show today. I'm very excited about our special guest, Ryan, who will be on the show with us. We'll introduce him in just a second. We're going to talk WrestleCon, obviously the big match between Sami Callihan, a.k.a. Jeremiah Crane, versus Eddie Edwards, and the rematch of all rematches, at least the rematch of the year here. And also we're going to talk Ring of Honor, Supercard of Honor, of course, the main event there, Cody versus Kenny. We're looking forward to that as well. Then we're going to talk NXT TakeOver New Orleans, and then we're going to talk WrestleMania 34. So basically what today is going to be, we're just talking about everything that's happening pretty much a week from now in New Orleans. You know, it's WrestleMania weekend. And I mean, I was just thinking about it a while ago. Like, we're 2 days away from the go-home show of Monday Night Raw into WrestleMania. So WrestleMania week is almost upon us, and I'm ready.
Heck yeah. You can check us out on the internet, MarkOutManiaMedia.com. Where can you download the show? Tons of places. Spreaker, iTunes, Amazon Alexa, iHeartRadio, tons more. Check us out, MarkOutMania.com. That's how you can get plugged into the show. So we want to go ahead and welcome our guest right now on the Bandbox guest mic today, pro wrestling journalist Brian K. Bowman, the Miami Herald, One Wrestling, and the editor-in-chief of the GorillaPosition.com. Bandbox is the only subscription box company that sends you authentic celebrity autographs in every single box. Get 4 to 6 items delivered to your door, including the autograph, signed fan art, prop replicas, exclusive enamel pins, exclusive signed comics, and more. Plus, they have a BAM horror box for the true horror fans. Order BAM box today at our website, MarkOutMania.com. Just click the BAM box banner on the front page. When you purchase a BAM box on our link at our website, BAM box gives us a percentage of the sale. You get awesome swag, and you help support the show at the same time. It's a win-win. Ryan K. Bowman, thank you so much for being with us today, brother.
Good morning, guys. Man, I've been waiting to talk to you guys for so long, so it's really a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, definitely. We're really excited to have you as well. Now, let's talk about, when was the first time you remember seeing wrestling and just being like, holy cow, this is amazing?
Actually, I just wrote about that this past week. I did a story about Larry Matisick, the announcer at Wrestling at the Chase. St. Louis, when I was a kid, was the hotbed for NWA wrestling. More world title more world title changes happened in St. Louis at the good old Kiel Auditorium. So as a kid, Wrestling at the Chase was such a tradition in our area. And as I told Larry, I said I heard his voice in the other room as a kid, and I came running in, and my brothers were watching it, and I guess I was about 7 years old. And, you know, there's King Kong Brody and Bulldog Bob Brown and the Von Erichs and Ric Flair and Harley Race, you know, and so it was, for me, it was just larger than life.
Most definitely. And over here in Lake Charles, we were a huge NWA stopping ground as well. So tons of stuff. And actually, I think Shawn Michaels' first match was at the Civic Center here in Lake Charles, right, Patrick?
Like his first ever career match?
Yeah.
I mean, hey, I know a lot about wrestling. I don't know about all of that. I've only been in Lake Charles here for about 6 years. So if Shawn Michaels' first match was in the Lake Charles Civic Center, I'm definitely, that's something I might have to look up here before this show is over, because I definitely... Well, if that's a fact, holy cow, what a fact.
I think I've heard that from a few sources. Now, your mentor is Bill Apter, and some of our listeners may not know that name because they're young and they don't even know what a magazine is. But if you're of the age of me, Patrick, yourself, you know who Bill Apter is. How in the world did you get hooked up with a legend?
I was writing an online piece for a different website about people who should be in the WWE Hall of Fame. And I got it to Bill, or someone got it to Bill, and then he sent me a response to it and thanked me for saying that. I still believe to this day. And wink, wink, WrestleMania's in the New York area next year. Be a real good time to put Bill Apter in the Hall of Fame. But having said that, I got to know Bill, and after having some Sunday conversations with him on Skype and really just kind of chewing the fat and telling him about my love of pro wrestling, we got to know each other. And I wrote a story last year on actually March 31st, a year ago today, oddly enough, in the Miami Herald. It was my first story in the Herald. It was a full-length story about Bill on WrestleMania weekend. And his family actually enjoyed it. I got to know him much better after that. And it was kind of inspired from that I started the Gorilla Position. So it all kind of starts in my mind. Wrestling journalism starts and ends with Bill Apter. There's some great ones, and I give Dave Meltzer credit for his genre and what he did. But for anybody who grew up in the era of the London magazines, I think the name Bill Apter is really special.
Most definitely. And tell us a little bit about your website, thegorillaposition.com.
Well, we kind of my partner Michael Melkor, actually, we were kind of kicking around. Who are we? What's our gimmick? And I've always kind of compared us to being the Rolling Stone of pro wrestling. We kind of look at sort of quirky, different things. We're built around a lot of features. And he sort of, I kind of kept saying, I said, we really aren't the story. We're telling the story of who they are. And he threw out the tagline, telling the stories of pro wrestling storytellers. And I think that's a brilliant summation of what we're trying to do. Most of my features are magazine-style stories you would see, articles you might be able to see in a local newspaper that may not necessarily be so wrestling-centric. They're more human interest pieces. And I think the vibe of the website, along with the fact that we throw a lot of old-school stuff in there, nostalgia, I think it gives us a just kind of a different hook and sets us apart from everybody else. And not that anything that anybody else is doing is wrong. We just want to be different.
Most definitely. And you can check out thegorillaposition.com. Amazing stories. You guys just put up a piece on the first WrestleMania today. So awesome stuff. It's very relevant. Get over there, check it out. And if you are wanting to be more of a historian of the wrestling industry, that's a great place to check out as well, because you guys do a lot of stories that go back 20, 30, 40 years.
And kind of have a PWI feel, and you'll see some of the stories shoot and kayfabe. The biggest thing I try to give off is the human element. I always say every time, sock 'em robots, they're not action figures. You can't just take them out, play with them, and put them back in a box. There's another side to them. And a great example of that, one of my stories I'm most proud of, is a story I did with Allie recently from Impact Wrestling about her battling depression. And that story went out in mainstream media. That story went out all over wrestling media. That's the kind of stuff I think that bridges the gap and actually explains the sport of pro wrestling even better, not just to their own fans, but to maybe people who don't necessarily, quote unquote, get it. And that's kind of the side that I like to display at thegorillaposition.com. And I think my partner shares that same vision. I'm a little more, Mike is definitely much more of a nuts and bolts journalist, and I always say I'm kind of the illustrator of things. I kind of tell more the heartwarming stories, or the very violent stories, or the very emotional stories. So I think we have a good balance there.
Right on. Our guest today is Ryan K. Bowman of the GorillaPosition.com. He is live on the Bambox guest mic. All right, Patrick.
All right, guys. Well, let's dive into our first topic here. Of course, a lot of things going on WrestleMania weekend in New Orleans. One of the first things going on is WrestleCon, and one of the big stories of WrestleCon this year, obviously, the rematch with Sami Callihan, a.k.a. Jeremiah Crane, taking on Eddie Edwards. Now, of course, we'll dive into that in just a little bit, but Ryan over here, Ryan Keith, there's a ton of superstars, and I was actually just on the website. I think they just added Goldberg and Stone Cold Steve Austin to the list of. I'm telling you what, they keep throwing names out like that. I'm going to get in the car right now and just go to New Orleans right now in the middle of this podcast, because I would love to go check just those two guys out. But obviously, there's an entire list of people that you have right there who are going to be appearing at WrestleCon.
Like, this is just a few, because you could scroll down for days. They have so many former people in the industry and current people in the industry that are going to be there at WrestleCon. It's kind of like a wrestling fan's wet dream, to be honest with you. I mean, this whole weekend's going to be amazing. So the superstars that are going to be there: Goldberg, Ric Flair, Stone Cold, Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, Sting, DDP, Trish Stratus, Sid Vicious, Mick Foley, Harley Race, Tony Atlas, Ted DiBiase, Lex Luger, X-Pac, Gene Okerlund, Torrie Wilson.
Oh, yes. That'd be my first stop, Torrie Wilson.
Also, Bill Apter's going to be there as well. We were just talking about him. Now, Ryan, I know you probably looked at the website. What's one person that you would totally mark out for at their table at WrestleCon?
You mean besides Bill Apter?
But yeah, that's a given.
When I gotta say that, I gotta kiss up once in a while to the boss, But no, honestly, and I keep saying I need to hide in Bill's suitcase, on the way down there or something, because he's heading down to do. Obviously, got the book signing down there, and he's always a part of WrestleCon, and everybody loves swapping stories with him. Honestly, I always think to myself, because I've had a lot of chances to interview some really big names. I just was on a press conference with Triple H yesterday, which blew my mind. But down there, honestly, The Rock, I think, because I could write 5,000 words about him because there's so many different sides. It's not so much the fame thing, as far as, at a WrestleMania weekend to sit down with somebody like The Rock or even Austin, somebody who's achieved that level of mainstream notoriety, you have, in my mind, I'm thinking like a writer, I have a potential for a story I can give to literally almost any entertainment or sports magazine in the world, and I want that conversation with them.
Yeah. Patrick.
I'm always working, guys. I'm always working.
Now, Patrick, besides Stone Cold Steve Austin, because we know that's an automatic mark, who else would you mark out for there?
Well, of the names you listed, I'd probably say Ric Flair. I would love to. I watched that 30 for 30 about Ric Flair, and by far my favorite 30 for 30 they have ever done, ironically, because it's, I guess, about pro wrestling. But I wish they would do more 30 for 30s about pro wrestling, by the way. But Ric Flair, he's a guy, obviously, I didn't start watching wrestling until the late 90s when Stone Cold, was the hottest thing in wrestling. So I didn't really get to see, Ric Flair, but obviously I've gone back and learned about Ric Flair and everything, and I got to experience him in WWE. And, man, he was always, I thought, next to Stone Cold, in my opinion, of course The Rock, too, one of the most entertaining guys, just whether he was wrestling, whether he was on a microphone, whether he didn't even have to have a microphone. When he's running, around, just elbowing his coat and everything, I mean, that was, that was just really comical to me and really entertaining. And just, his promos, very few and far between can cut a promo, if anybody can cut a promo better than Ric Flair.
Yeah. Also going on at WrestleCon, it's a 3-day event.
I'm sorry, guys, I was going to throw in, I met Ric Flair in St. Louis. I met him as a young man, as a little kid, as a fan, and I saw him about 15, 20 years later in St. Louis after San Marie, and everything that everyone says, and I know I'm not the only one that said this, but everything about Flair that they say is absolutely 100% true. The big wine casks at the table, he's sitting with Arn. There may or may not have been some beautiful women at the table. I don't want to say.
I'm sure there was.
Yeah, he's the real deal.
It's a safe bet. Oh yeah, Ric Flair. He is a living legend.
Yeah.
So, and I tell you what, I was really, whenever he had that health scare, man, I was nervous. I was like, man, we cannot lose Ric Flair. Thank goodness he survived it. And now, of course, he's in that music video, the Ric Flair drip, which I'm not really crazy about the song. But the fact that Ric Flair is like, doing these kind of things at this age, it's like, he's still Ric Flair.
Yeah, and he's the first person to wear the Rock's Under Armour line.
I did see that. That was really cool, too. I saw that video on Facebook. So the Nature Boy still got it. Unfortunately, he can't wrestle no more. But the beautiful thing about Ric Flair is that, his wrestling wasn't his best quality. I mean, he was a good wrestler, don't get me wrong. But, man, he was, he doesn't have to wrestle. He can grab a microphone and just be the most entertaining guy on the planet, in my opinion.
Yeah. And then, Ryan, what's funny about us talking about Ric Flair, Patrick has the womanizing gimmick here on the show.
Yep.
So we're going to come out with a shirt that says "Living the Gimmick." I don't know what we're going to put on this shirt visual-wise. And now it's kind of more complicated since you have a girlfriend.
Yeah. She's a big wrestling fan too, though, so I think she'll understand that this is strictly a gimmick now. At first, it wasn't a gimmick because it was actually me.
Yeah.
But now, I got to behave. So it's just a gimmick, sweetie, if you're listening.
So, I mean, absolutely amazing weekend. WrestleCon kicks it off on Thursday, April 5th, and the con runs for 3 days. It's going to be at the Sheraton in New Orleans, and they're putting on a whole bunch of wrestling there as well. And it starts out with New Orleans' own Wildcat Entertainment. Luke Hawx is going to be there, Billy Gunn, Stevie Richards. Rev Pro is also going down on Friday. They got Minoru Suzuki, Will Ospreay, and Kota Ibushi. Then Combat Zone Wrestling is going to be there on Saturday. Will Ospreay, Sami Callihan, Juice Robinson, Joey Ryan. I'd like to see Joey Ryan in person, to be honest with you.
I'm looking, I'm on the website right now. There's so much wrestling that's going to be happening. And just at WrestleCon, I mean, that's not even included the 13, probably 14 matches that they're going to have at WrestleMania on Sunday, and then Ring of Honor Supercard. I mean, I can go on and on.
And then listen who Tommy Dreamer's bringing down with House of Hardcore. MVP, Billy Gunn, Austin Aries, Spirit Squad, Carlito, Brian Cage, Lance Archer, Sami Callihan, the Rock and Roll Express, and of course the man himself, Tommy Dreamer. And then we get to Impact versus Lucha Underground. Now, Ryan, I'm going to have a question for you here at the end of this card, because I know you're really tight with some people over at Impact. Of course, some of the matches that we're going to highlight: Austin Aries and Phoenix versus Alberto De Patron and Pentagon Jr. LAX puts up their Impact tag titles against Killshot and the Mac. And of course, the main event of the evening, Retribution, has come to town with Eddie Edwards in the I Quit match against Jeremiah Crane. Now, Ryan, why in the world? I can't wrap my brain around this. Now, the first time I went about a week ago on WrestleCon's thing, it was I Quit match between Sami Callihan and Eddie Edwards. It was an Impact main event. Now it shows Eddie Edwards versus Lucha Underground's Jeremiah Crane. So he's been doing serious. He's been doing, all the podcasts, Chris Jericho, Stone Cold, all that as Sami Callihan. Why in the world would they choose to change his name to Jeremiah Crane on the card?
He's also made an appearance at the gorilla position recently, too. And I did the story with Sami. Sami is really, even as I wrote the story, he's towing this strange line between a work and a shoot right now. And I mean in life, too, in a lot of ways, because he's got to be careful how far he pushes this. He could throw gasoline on the fire and it burn everything down, or he could become a big star out of this whole incident. I mean, let's be honest. The guy didn't want to try to maim anybody. No one wants to do that in a wrestling ring. What he's done with it from there and the media he's had surrounding him from there, I don't know, because every headline out there said Sami Callihan on it.
Right.
But then again, having talked to him, and he's a pretty eccentric guy. That's not all the work. He's a kind of an oddball in real life as well, behind the curtain, as we like to say. And there's a method to his madness. He's got everybody talking, and this is another thing now people are talking about. Obviously, it worked because we're talking about it right now. This guy's got something about him that he knows how to push the buttons, and hopefully it works out for him, because so far he's got more attention recently than. And I agree with his methods too. I agree with what Cornette said about that. Also, Jim Cornette said on his podcast, heels should be heels. In private, you apologize to the guy. In public, you show no remorse. And that's what Sami did, and he took it and ran with it. I don't understand the name change because, as you said, all the media, all the publicity, all the hype was around Sami Callihan.
Right, and me and Patrick were talking earlier. I'm like, if Sami Callihan is walking down the street anywhere, I don't think the odds are pretty good of somebody going, hey, that's Sami Callihan. And especially, hey, that's Jeremiah Crane. I mean, I just don't get it. It blows my mind. It's like everybody wants the payoff between Eddie Edwards and Sami Callihan. Even if they don't have Pop, even if they don't have El Rey, they know Sami Callihan's name because they've seen it on YouTube.
Alter ego thing is cool, if you're Beyonce. But at the end of the day, think about it like this now. Think about how hard it is for a wrestler in WWE to get mainstream on the street exposure. Then think how hard it is for an indie guy. If you walked up to 100 people and said, hi, my name's Sami Callihan, 5 out of those 100 might know who you are. If you go up and say I'm Jeremiah Crane, 0 of 100 know who you are. So you already had at least that buzz going for you. I don't know why he would put it aside, but again, I've questioned some things he's done, but having talked to him, I also don't question the madness at the same time. So, more power to him.
Right, and this event's going to be live on Twitch as well. I really like what Impact is doing, and I got to be honest with you. I've been an Impact fan for a long time, and I want them to succeed so bad. I like the way that they're thinking out the box with this whole Twitch thing. I think that's going to be really, really cool for the fans. Patrick, what's your take on the name change?
I mean, I agree with you. I think, obviously somebody like me who, for the most part, only follows WWE. I did follow Impact back in the day when I thought it was much better, obviously. And, I hear the name Sami Callihan. I've never actually seen the guy. Like you said, I'm one of those guys. Now if he walks up to me, introduces himself to me, like Ryan says over here, I am Sami Callihan. I say, oh, okay, I know who you are. But as far as pointing him out of a crowd, I wouldn't be able to do that. Now, so from that point, I think you got to have the name Sami Callihan. But from another perspective, this is going to be WrestleCon. 80%, in my opinion, of the people who are going to be watching this match live will know damn well that's Sami Callihan, even though he's using the name Jeremiah Crane. So I think from that standpoint, I think it'll be fine. Because, like I said, the crowd that's going to be there, they know what the deal is. They know this is the return match because, let's face it, it's only going to be true hardcore wrestling fans who are probably going to be there. Maybe a few, strays here and there, that are not that into wrestling or at least not that into Impact or Lucha Underground will be there. But I think it's going to be one heck of an atmosphere because most of the people there will be true hardcore wrestling fans.
Right. If you want to check out everything on WrestleCon, simply go to WrestleCon.com.
All right, so we're going to jump now from WrestleCon that's on Friday night. Now we're going to jump to Saturday. A couple of big events on Saturday. The first one we're going to talk about is Ring of Honor, Supercard of Honor. I said that right. There's a couple of times I messed that up. A lot of matches here. I got the match card right here in front of me. Adam Page versus Kota Ibushi. Then there's Punishment Martinez versus Tomohiro Ishii. See if
no, you got it, man.
I'm good. Okay, good. I'm used to butchering
I don't know if you're good,
names.
but it sounds good.
Well, then there's the Ring of Honor TV Championship, Last Man Standing match, Kenny King versus Silas Young. The Ring of Honor 6-Man Championship match, Social Uncensored versus the Young Bucks and Flip Gordon. The Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championship match, the Briscoes taking on Jay Lethal and Hiroshi Tanahashi. The Ring of Honor World Championship match, Dalton Castle versus Marty Scurll. And then, of course, the main event that Brink and Cruz will get to freaking watch, that I wish I could go watch because I love me some Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega versus Cody. And that's going to be one hell of a match, man. Yeah. I think we'll be able to watch this on Fight TV, I think. Or no, we have to pay for it, I think. So
yeah.
I won't be able to watch it live, but I'm sure that match will be on Facebook Saturday night, if not Sunday morning, so I'll probably watch it, that morning. So I'm really looking forward to that match. Obviously, the headline match there Saturday night is going to be interesting. One of the things I've been talking about, how interesting to see how well Ring of Honor Supercard of Honor does versus NXT TakeOver New Orleans, because NXT TakeOver Philadelphia was a huge success, in my opinion. Now, NXT TakeOver, we're going to talk about that in just a little bit. Man, they have quite a card, but looking at this Ring of Honor Supercard of Honor card, oh man, that's one of the more interesting things I'm looking forward to next weekend, to see how well these two shows do against one another as far as who views or how much viewership one gets, what the gate or whatever. There's all kind of different things you can look at, but I'm just interested to see overall how each show does against one another.
Yeah, and then you got the Bullet Club drama that's in New Japan, but also flows over to Ring of Honor. Now, Ryan, let me get your take on this. Of course, from Strong Style Evolve, we saw Cody come in at the end, kind of rough up the Young Bucks a little bit. Omega came in to save the day, got Cody out of there. Then we see on social media, Cody's like, hey, I'm about to unveil a new Bullet Club logo. And then one of the Jacksons, I think it was Nick, said, hey, man, check your DMs. So what's going on there? And then, obviously you got Cody who wants to take control from Omega. Omega's back with his partner with the Golden Lovers. Ryan, what's going on with the Bullet Club? Is Omega going to be out after this Cody match? But then it seems like Cody's feuding with everybody that's there anyway. You got the Gorillas of Destinies who really couldn't even care less who the leader is. They just want to be Bullet Club. But you got Cody, who obviously the hottest members right now are Omega and the Young Bucks, right?
Yep.
And he's feuding with the Young Bucks. I don't get what's going on here. It seems like we may see a total implosion of the Bullet Club.
And you know what, folks? It's all about merchandising. We need another Bullet Club logo, like we need a hole in the head. But the truth of the matter is, honestly, it's great theater. They have learned to capitalize on playing out their drama on social media. They are followed on every platform you can imagine. It is the Beverly Hills 90210 of pro wrestling right now. And it's great. It's great to draw attention. It is a way to draw attention to New Japan and Ring of Honor in a way that will appeal to a different audience. An audience that watches WWE can get behind this kind of intrigue and drama. So no matter how it plays out, at the end of the day, I just see the Bullet Club continuing to cash more checks off this angle. I just think it makes them bigger. I think when Omega breaks off, he becomes a bigger star, and he'll always have that loose affiliation. I mean, they are the modern-day version of the Clique, both in the ring and financially out of it. They own everything as far as their rights, their entities. They can take this thing anywhere they want to in any kind of combinations, and I think that's going to be interesting for the fans.
Yeah, definitely. And let me know if I'm on to something here, if you think, because I fantasy booked this a few shows ago, and here's how I see it. Obviously, Omega's a tweener. He can be kind of heelish. He can be kind of facious. I'm thinking when he gets kicked out, that's going to push him full face. And I think he's going to, because obviously the Golden Lovers are a face team, I think they're priming Omega to take the belt from Okada finally, because they're wanting to push more into the United States. So they want he's Canadian, but a more American-looking wrestler to be the champ while they're doing more shows in the U.S. Am I far off there?
Is happening, and certainly I think what happened Saturday sets up for All In, and I think your scenario might play out in September, which I will be at. You guys can have this one in New Orleans. I'll be there in September in Chicago because I'm in Illinois.
Nice.
But I will, I think everything plays out in the fall, and I think everything that happens this weekend leads up to that. But I certainly agree. Omega, I believe, goes solo with just a red-hot face run to finally have the final showdown with Okada.
Definitely. How do you see the Omega-Cody match going?
I mean, it's going to be a great match, first of all. I think this is another match, I've been saying so far, the match of the year, in my opinion, Johnny Gargano and Andrade Cien Almas at NXT TakeOver Philadelphia. The tag team match, the Golden Lovers versus the Young Bucks last Sunday night is definitely in the conversation as well. I guess I'd have to go back and watch both matches again just to see. But this match has the potential to also join that conversation. Kenny Omega needs to win this match. I mean, in my opinion, he was my superstar of the year last year in all of pro wrestling, and this year, now he's kind of breaking away from the Bullet Club because last year he was a heel for the most part, but people started to kind of catch on to him, really like him because the guy puts on fantastic matches. There's no doubt about it. The dude put on the greatest 3 matches possibly ever with Okada already, and we're gonna get to see a 4th one. So. Hopefully at some point, because in my opinion, the only person right now that should take that belt off of Okada is Kenny Omega. So Kenny Omega needs to win this match. Hopefully they have this Omega-Okada 4 somewhere down the line this year. And look, I think it's time. Of course, Okada's another one that's great too, but if anybody's going to take this belt off of Okada, it needs to be Kenny Omega.
Do you think we see any Bullet Club intervention in the match?
I would be shocked if we didn't. I think that's basically the center point of this match, the storyline that has been built. There has to be some sort of Bullet Club interference. The Young Bucks are going to be there. Who else is going to... I see the Young Bucks will be there as well in a match, so I would be shocked if we did not see some sort of Bullet Club interference or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, Scroll's there too. Do you think we see any interference in the match from the Bullet Club, whether it be for Omega or for Cody?
Potential names out there when you start talking about a new logo and everything else. I think we're going to have I think what they want to go for is maybe an NWO shock type moment with the Bullet Club to close the show, and that sets them up to go from there. I really think this show is not just a big page turner for the Bullet Club, but for Ring of Honor also, and New Japan. I do believe this partnership and this expansion into North America. I think this weekend is a big, again, I hate to use the term page turner again, but a big transitional. We're going to see where things go from here type of moment.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of the partnership between ROH and New Japan, I know that the VP of Impact was at Strong Style, and he wants to start filling the waters for an Impact partnership with New Japan. What's the word on how that's progressing?
As far as New Japan, I can tell you that they right now, and Sanjay Dutt just talked about this on the press conference, and then Ed Nordholm himself has come out several times publicly. They've had the deals with Noah. They worked with AAA. Impact Wrestling, I think, feels like right now they are in a position where they can and are willing to work with anybody. They don't have nearly as many of the entanglements contractually as they had before. A lot of people really, I think, when they saw the retooling of the company, and I'm not going to apologize for them, they let a lot of talent walk. They also had a lot of money on the books. They had to make room. I think a New Japan partnership for Impact would be great for Impact. It depends on, from the New Japan perspective, they already have the deal with Ring of Honor. Would it jeopardize their deal with ROH? Can they all three work together? And also, is Impact financially, going to be viable for those two companies? If New Japan and ROH are already doing well together financially, Impact's got to bring something to the table too. Mm-hmm. Right now, they're kind of on the outside looking in.
Yeah, I like what he said about, Impact could benefit from a partnership with New Japan. Obviously, honestly, right now, in my opinion, anybody, including the WWE, could benefit from a partnership with New Japan, because New Japan, while it's been around for a very, very long time, it's starting to gain a traction, in my opinion, like it's never gained before. And, I mean, even I've just been introduced to New Japan Pro Wrestling within the past year or so, and I'm becoming a huge fan, obviously because of guys like Kenny Omega putting on those 6-star matches with Okada and stuff. So it's gaining attraction like it's never gained before, in my opinion. I think anybody could benefit from a partnership with New Japan Pro Wrestling and even Ring of Honor. But what Ryan said, if that were to jeopardize their relationship with Ring of Honor, don't do it, because Impact, I don't know, it's like, I don't know, I can't think of the word to use, but like bad luck, I guess is what I'm kind of thinking, because of, how they're doing financially and all that. You don't want to, put yourself in that kind of situation where you could get screwed out of the deal, and then you could get, Ring of Honor, just tensions. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not much into that part of the, the business, but you don't want to jeopardize this thing you have with Ring of Honor, because holy cow, I mean, look what we're going to get here in New Orleans on next Saturday. So definitely, I agree that Impact could benefit from a partnership with New Japan, just like anybody could. But if I'm New Japan, I'm keeping this thing with Ring of Honor. Now, if it could work, obviously all three, do it. But don't jeopardize your relationship with Ring of Honor to appease an Impact.
Mm-hmm. Let's go ahead and move on to NXT.
Yeah, NXT.
Oh, wait, go ahead, Ryan.
I'm sorry. You literally have a situation. Impact is a Canadian company now. In a perfect scenario, you would share talent, and Impact would promote Canada, Ring of Honor would promote America, and New Japan would promote over there. And you just keep cycling the talent around like that, mm-hmm. Sort of in a territory type system. That would be beneficial to everybody, whether Absolutely. They would all partner like that.
That would make a lot of
Probably
sense.
Not.
I agree with you 100%, because in my opinion, Impact has some good talent, but I guess they're just financially, and I think that would help Impact financially too. So in a dream world, hey, that would be awesome. Mm-hmm. But let's jump now into something that is a little more reality, and that is going to be the NXT TakeOver in New Orleans show. A show, honestly, it's hard to say that I'm looking, if you ask what am I looking most forward to next weekend, obviously WrestleMania. But I'm really looking forward to this NXT TakeOver show because after what I saw NXT TakeOver Philadelphia, and I've always been on the NXT, bandwagon, I guess you can say, or the NXT train. I've always been a big fan, but man, they're just, and I've always wondered, what's going to happen. Eventually you're going to start, all these people like Samoa Joe, Finn Balor, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, all these people go to NXT. These are all big name dudes. And then they go to the main roster. What are you going to do when, okay, those guys are gone, you got to replace these guys. How is it going to be, can you replace these guys? Can you keep coming up with new people? And look, they're doing a fantastic job so far. And NXT, in my opinion, is only getting better and better and better with the talent, the matches, the storylines, everything. And it's partially because Triple H is booking it. He's doing a fantastic job. But, this weekend, I'm looking at these matches. Obviously, the NXT Championship match, Andrade Cien Almas taking on Aleister Black. Ember Moon, I'm a big fan of Ember Moon and her entrance theme song, by the way, versus Shayna Baszler. I think that's a rematch from NXT TakeOver Philadelphia. This is the match I'm most looking forward to. This 6-man ladder match for the inaugural NXT North American Championship. Adam Cole, EC3, Killian Dane, Lars Sullivan, Ricochet,
yes,
and Velveteen Dream in a 6-man. Okay, first of all, ladder matches are my favorite matches, other than the Royal Rumble match in WWE. They've always, at least back in the late '90s, early 2000s, man, those ladder matches, provided just great entertainment. A ladder match and the way NXT is being booked nowadays, I cannot wait. These 6 dudes, which all these dudes can go. I cannot wait for that match. Also, the Undisputed Era versus the Authors of Pain for the NXT Tag Team Championships and the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic Trophy as well. And then Johnny Gargano versus Tommaso. I can never get his last name right. Ciampa? Ryan, how do you say that?
Ciampa.
Ciampa? Ciampa. Okay. It sounds like it's foreign.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just the way I'm saying it. But that's an unsanctioned match. If Gargano wins, he will be rehired. But if Ciampa wins, Gargano will be banned from NXT, which tells me Gargano loses this match, he's going to the main roster. I think Gargano's ready for the main roster. A lot of people are saying, they were talking about on Reddit, which NXT guys are going to get called up after Mania. Gargano was one of the top names that could get called up after Mania. Hopefully he's not, hopefully he don't end up like a Baron Corbin or a Ty Dillinger.
That's what I was just going to say. You got the hottest face in NXT just for WWE main create. Oh, that's my phone. WWE main creative just to ruin it.
That was Eric T, by the way. We can call him back in a bit, or unless you want to take that call.
No.
Okay.
Another thing I got to say is, why in the world would they put Dillian Kane or whatever?
Killian Dane. You said it backwards. Yeah. Killian Kane. I like that.
Why would they put him in a ladder match? He's a big dude. Like, if he does a spot on the top of the ladder, we may see like something like Sid Vicious did a few years ago.
Well, I tell you what, big dudes in ladder matches, ooh, man.
That's scary.
It is kind of scary. It's scary for the other 5 guys. Not scary for me. It's going to be entertaining for me, but I'm just really looking. That's the match I think I'm looking most forward to this entire weekend, with the exception of AJ Styles and Nakamura. I hope those 2 guys can tear the house down too.
Yeah, I think this ladder match is the reason they put that in there, and the new championship is to combat Supercard of Honor, because we've seen that the NXT shows aren't really drawing many people. Ryan, who do you think gets more gate, Supercard of Honor or the NXT TakeOver show?
Well, I think Ring of Honor will get probably a bigger gate on this one this weekend. I think that I think NXT shows honestly are, quite frankly, they don't need a big crowd. I don't think that NXT is there to really draw big crowds and make big money. NXT is a minor league, and minor league systems are designed to lose money. Their job is to develop talent. At the same time, I have no doubt that TakeOver will have a big crowd, or bigger crowd than usual. But I see Ring of Honor outdrawing TakeOver on Saturday. You have the difference between, honestly, at the end of the day, I love NXT. It's my favorite brand. But it's the difference between the second-tier company for WWE versus 2 of the number 2 and number 3 companies in the world intertwining at the same time. I think I have to take the Ring of Honor / New Japan crossover, and I'll watch NXT TakeOver on delay.
What do you think, Patrick?
Well, I'll be watching NXT TakeOver live. I do have the network. I don't have any way to watch Ring of Honor, the Supercard of Honor live.
Cruz can help you out with that.
Well, yeah, because Cruz and them got tickets without me. But I had no intention of going to the show. Now, if they would have got me a ticket, obviously I would have gone. But
thanks a lot, guys.
Yeah, well, yeah, like I said, I had no. If I had any intention of going to any show next weekend, my butt would be in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome for WrestleMania. That's just me. But obviously, things change, and I wasn't able to make it. So next weekend, I can't wait. I'm going to try and watch WrestleCon on Twitch. I'm definitely going to watch NXT TakeOver New Orleans. I'll probably watch some of the Ring of Honor stuff because more than likely it'll be on Facebook the next morning. Also, the Hall of Fame, I got to watch that too. And then obviously WrestleMania too. So a lot of things to watch. But as far as NXT versus the Ring of Honor show, I wouldn't be surprised. Ryan said he thinks the Ring of Honor show is going to have the better gate. I would not be surprised because I guess on most fans that are going to be there that weekend are obviously going to WrestleMania, so they're going to probably maybe try and veer off to something a little different. You can have your fans that go to NXT, Hall of Fame, WrestleMania, Raw, and SmackDown, but a lot of people are going to want to venture off to something a little bit different, something, Ring of Honor, Cody versus Kenny. That's just me. Now, I would love to go watch that match, obviously. I won't be able to, but,
Yeah,
I mean, I'll be able to watch it the next morning on Facebook, so I know it's going to be well worth the price of admission to go watch, Ring of Honor Supercard.
Yeah, even though WWE is the obvious juggernaut, the two hottest takes in wrestling right now, Eddie Edwards, Sami Callihan, and Kenny Cody.
Absolutely,
sure.
Yeah. So, I definitely agree that Ring of Honor is going to pull a better gate. Definitely.
Yeah. Let's move on to Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame, yes. Let me pull up. Actually, I gotta find the list of some of the. I know. Obviously, Goldberg, the Dudleys, Ivory,
Mark Henry.
Let me.
Now, let me ask you this, Ryan. While he's pulling this up, so we mentioned Ivory. Is Ivory a reach to you?
Oh, I don't think so at all. Especially, considering we just put in Beth Phoenix.
Right.
Ivory has a storied career long before WWE, and obviously going back to the Glow days and Tina Ferrari stuff. But I think that's the kind of wrestlers I'd rather see them put in WWE rather than the ones. The Hall of Fame situation. I know someday Stacy Keibler or Tori Wilson might be in there, because they were personalities or whatever. But I would rather see the Molly Hollies, who should already be there, should have been there last year, and Ivory, and the girls who actually worked and could wrestle and also be glamorous and pretty at the same time. I understand that the sex sells, and that was a big part of that era, but I'd rather them reach back a little bit to some of the women who actually could go in the ring too.
Right. Do you think people like Beth Phoenix and, you mentioned Stacy Keibler and stuff like that, if they get in, does that open some kind of Pandora's box that, all of a sudden Val Venus is a contender now, or X-Pac? Because if you think about X-Pac, he was a part of one of the biggest runs of all time in the WWE with DX.
Yeah, I don't think you can compare. X-Pac to me is a Hall of Famer. Again, we're also we're talking about there's rules involved, and obviously there aren't. You have situations where certain guys are in and certain guys aren't, and it's ridiculous. For all the years it took to get Randy Savage or Rick Rude or some of those guys in. I don't think there's anything out of the realm of possibility with Vince and the Hall of Fame. I do think that will settle down. I don't want to be morbid, but after Vince is gone, because I think that Triple H and company, obviously you see from NXT and what they've done with 205 Live, he's much more wrestling centric and much more focused on a real wrestling tradition. So I think we might be at our last go round of these last few years. Again, I'm not trying to be morbid, but we've all talked about what the company will be like when Vince is gone, and I think the Hall of Fame inductions will be very different also when the next generation of McMahons takes over.
Right. We're talking with Ryan K. Bowman from the GorillaPosition.com.
I have the list of inductees here. The Warrior Award recipient will be Jarius J.J. Robertson, who had a double liver he's a double liver transplant survivor.
Wow.
Mark Henry from down the road from us, Silsbee, Texas, one-time world champion, one-time ECW champion, one-time European champion.
Represent.
The Celebrity Wing inductee, Kid Rock, of course, performed at several WWE live events. It says here, a Monday Night Raw in 2000, WrestleMania 25 in Houston, and Tribute to the Troops in 2012. He also had The Undertaker's American Badass theme and Stacy Keibler's Legs. And he's also had numerous songs used as pay-per-view theme songs as well. Hillbilly Jim, over 30-plus years associated with WWE as a wrestler, manager, and ambassador. Really kind of the shocker of the class, Jeff Jarrett, four-time WCW World Heavyweight Champion, six-time Intercontinental Champion. He's also credited by WWE for promoting shows that gave future WWE superstars like AJ Styles, Bobby Roode, and Eric Young their first major exposure. He will be inducted by the Road Dogg. Ivory, three-time women's champion, one-time Glow champion as well. She will be inducted by Molly Holly. The Dudley Boys, eight-time WWE Tag Team Champions. Actually, let's see. I guess that's 9 times. It says 8-time WWF World Tag Team Champions and 1-time WWE. So make that 9-time WWE Tag Champs, 8-time ECW Tag Champs, 1-time WCW Tag Team Champions. And they're going to be inducted by Edge and Christian. That's going to be a really cool moment there. And then, of course, the headliner, Goldberg, who will, first of all, he's a one-time WCW World Heavyweight Champion, one-time World Heavyweight Champion, one-time WWE Universal Champion, and he's also recognized as having a 173-0 undefeated streak in WCW. He's going to be inducted by Paul Heyman. Mm-hmm. That makes zero sense to me in a way, because his last match was against Paul Heyman's guy, Brock Lesnar, and there was a lot of personal shots being taken from Paul Heyman to Goldberg, with his wife and his son and all that stuff. So I don't know. That just kind of when I heard that, it was quite a bit of a shock. Mm-hmm. Almost as shocking as actually hearing Jeff Jarrett being inducted into the Hall of Fame. I don't know. I mean, I know Heyman's going to come out there and obviously do a fantastic job of inducting him, but I don't know, just logically, kayfabe wise, it does not make sense to me.
Yeah. What do you think, Ryan?
They thought William Regal should induct Bill Goldberg into the Hall of Fame after he took him to school in WCW a year ago. But honestly, I would have thought it would have been Bischoff or somebody associated with WCW. I would have maybe even Diamond Dallas Page went to the Hall of Fame last year. They had the great match at Havoc in '98. Heyman makes no sense to me. I'm glad to see Goldberg go in. I'm psyched that Jeff Jarrett's going in. I love Jeff. He's always been great to me. I like Karen. I think they've both gotten a really bad rap over the years. Jeff's come through a lot of really tough things, and you know what? I think him making a lot of changes in his life and being in the Hall of Fame now, that's a real positive thing. But yeah, as far as the Goldberg thing, I don't know. I mean, I think Road Dogg made a lot of sense for Jarrett. That was a perfect one that clicked for everybody. Perfect tie-in. And Paul Heyman, I can't, other than him, as you said, really antagonizing Goldberg, I don't remember them having any other connection in wrestling.
Yep. I agree 100%. When I heard Paul, because, you think of Goldberg, there's so many names, Ryan named a few of them, like Bischoff, maybe DDP. I would say maybe, you could say maybe a Hogan could induct him. Of course, I don't know, Hogan, his relationship with WWE right now is up and down a little bit, but maybe, I guess, the next thing, his biggest rival is Brock Lesnar, but obviously you're not going to see Brock Lesnar go up there and induct him. So I guess that, that's the only thing I can, see as being logical about this is that Heyman is the advocate of arguably Goldberg's biggest rival. That because McMahon, Vince inducted Stone Cold, so I guess that's the route they were trying to go. I don't know. Either way, I think it's I think it's going to be great. I just don't. I just kayfabe wise, it makes no sense to me.
Well, maybe nobody wanted to do it because I know Goldberg turned off a lot of people, a lot of the boys. But I can't remember who said it, but their quote was Goldberg was Goldberg's biggest mark, and maybe his big head ruined his relationships with everybody. And they're like, I'm not inducting this dude. So WWE had to go to a company man and say, hey, you're going to do it. And he was like, you got it, boss.
Maybe so.
I don't know. Hey, and I want to touch a little bit on Jeff Jarrett. I've always been a Jeff Jarrett fan. Always. Ryan, tell me if this quote from Jim Cornette is fair. Cornette said about Jeff Jarrett, he calls himself the king of the mountain, but, quote, he never drew a damn dime for anybody. What do you think about that?
I don't know about Cornette criticizing Jarrett, but I've heard people say that about him never drawing a dime. I would argue that a lot of people talk about drawing money in the wrestling business, and I've always used the argument that very rarely does one guy draw money. Hogan did that. Ric Flair going into a town in the 80s, you guys know from being down in Louisiana, he'd come into town, there's a huge gate. The Rock, Stone Cold. But as far as a guy being on top drawing money by himself, it's usually the brand and the entire card that draws money. Very rarely does one guy come into town and sell out a building. And so to say that, oh, this guy is the champ, drew money. Shawn Michaels didn't draw money as WWF champion. He's one of the greatest performers to ever be in the ring. Maybe the best, some people say, but he didn't draw like other WWF champions. We don't throw him under the bus. So Jeff Jarrett, to say he didn't draw, look where he was at when he was the world champion in WCW. They weren't drawing as a company. I mean, Jesus himself couldn't have resurrected WCW at that point.
Now, I will say one of my favorite Jeff Jarrett matches, I can't remember when it was. It was, I think, late 1999. It might have been, I can't remember, or it might have been early 2000. It was Jeff Jarrett versus China for the Intercontinental Championship, and it was like it must have been a no holds barred match. I haven't watched it in a while, but it's one of my favorite Jeff Jarrett matches because China beat him for the Intercontinental title. She became the first ever women's Intercontinental champion, and if I remember right, she smashed his guitar over his head, and it was very entertaining. I remember, and I remember it being like kind of like a no holds barred match. I mean, can you imagine nowadays like a man and WWE doing a man versus woman no holds barred match where they're hitting each other with weapons and stuff? Now, granted, China was probably more of a man than I am, but as far as being able to kick some ass, but that's one of my more memorable Jeff Jarrett moments. And then you showed me a video with Beetlejuice. I think this was in WCW probably, when Beetlejuice was walking down the hall and he calls him Slapnuts. It's like, what'd you call me? I called you Slapnuts. And he kept walking, and Jarrett just, unloads the guitar on Beetlejuice, and it was so damn funny. But the Jeff Jarrett match, I can't remember exactly when it was. It was, I think, late 1999 or early 2000. Jeff Jarrett versus China, and I want to say it was a no holds barred or like a hardcore match or something for the Intercontinental title. It was very entertaining.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the main event.
All right, yeah, let's talk a little WrestleMania. 13 matches here. I'm not sure where we are on time here. Let me look real quick. We still got a little bit of time. So I'm going to go down the match card here really quick. The Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, the WrestleMania Women's Battle Royal, Daniel Bryan, Shane McMahon versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. If Owens and Zayn win, they will be rehired. Kurt Angle and Ronda Rousey versus Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. Cedric Alexander versus Mustafa Ali for the Cruiserweight Championship. The Usos versus the New Day versus the Bludgeon Brothers in a triple threat tag match for the WWE SmackDown Tag Team Championship. Cesaro and Sheamus versus Braun Strowman and an unknown partner for the Raw Tag Team Championships. Really interested to see who they're going to pick as his partner. There's rumblings that I've been hearing. Charlotte Flair versus Asuka for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Alexa Bliss versus Nia Jax for the Raw Women's Championship. Randy Orton, Bobby Roode, Jinder Mahal, and Rusev. Fatal 4-Way for the United States Championship. The Miz, Seth Rollins, Finn Balor. Triple Threat for the WWE Intercontinental Championship. AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura singles match for the WWE Championship, and Brock Lesnar with Paul Heyman versus Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship. Now, this card does not include a possible John Cena versus The Undertaker match as well, which right now I'm of the assumption that match is going to happen because they're not going to, Cena's been calling out The Undertaker for like a month now, like basically calling out his manhood and saying, basically do something. Like, he even put something on his Instagram that I thought was really funny. You know, that little, it was like a meme, and it's this like almost like a stick figure kind of guy, but it's not a stick figure. It was just drawn, and he's poking a stick at the world, and it says "do something." And this man's dressed up in John Cena gear, and it's the Undertaker's head, and he's poking at him. It's like, "Do something," you know.
Yeah.
It was really funny, but so I think that match is going to happen, which would put 14 matches for WrestleMania. I also read yesterday WrestleMania will be at least 7 hours long, including the pre-show.
Holy crap!
Including the pre-show. I think the pre-show is going to be from 4 to 6 Central Time. And then 6 to probably, I think 11 is what they have it slated on the WWE Network. That time slated for WrestleMania. So WrestleMania is going to be very, very long. Like 7 hours. Like, I go to work 8 hours a day. Like, that's, and don't get me wrong. Like, a lot of people complain about that. I'm okay with it because you have, I mean, I'm looking at this card. I mean, there's a lot of good matches that are going to take place at WrestleMania. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, Ryan, with Kid Rock in town for the Hall of Fame, with what we're hearing on the Ventanet, are you thinking we're going to see the American Badass, the Undertaker gimmick, at WrestleMania?
I hope so. That was my favorite version. Everybody likes the dead man. I always thought the dead man thing was stupid. I never liked that gimmick. I don't know why. And I mean, everybody. I'm one of those people. I'll look at something and go, I don't understand, but everybody else digs it. So thumbs up, you know. But as far as I thought the motorcycle thing and the music and everything in the early 2000s was awesome. So I'd love to see him do that. And actually, a guy, I'm one of those people, I hate rumors, but I'd seen something online, so take it for what it's worth, that they were actually having a custom motorcycle with like bones on it constructed for WrestleMania.
Nice.
Now again, just saw that in a blurb on one of these Facebook pages. Could be not, but if they are like stunting, making a really awesome entrance for him, it will blow everybody away at WrestleMania to come back like that.
You know, I was reading. Oh, great! Now I lost my train of thought. Oh man, I hate when that happens. Oh, what was I reading?
We're gonna start throwing rumors around. Don't throw rumors around right now, man.
Oh, what was I reading? Oh man,
it's what we live on.
Oh no, I wouldn't read nothing. This is what it was.
Yeah.
On Monday Night Raw, Jonathan Coachman, during I guess the Cena Kane match, this is what he said. He literally said, "quote What version of the Undertaker will we see?" And I was on Reddit during that, looking at the live Raw. Everybody right there, all was like, "Oh, he just confirmed it. The American Badass is coming back." Because he literally, Coachman, if y'all go back and watch it, Coachman literally at one point, I don't remember what point in the match, he said, "What version of the Undertaker would we see?" Because they were talking about what if he comes back. Well, what version would we see? Well, what other version of the Undertaker is there? Mm-hmm. There is one other version, and that is the American Badass. Now, obviously, that doesn't confirm it. You know, people just get excited, and I kind of got excited too because everybody else was saying it, and I was like, I don't know, I'm not convinced. But everybody else was kind of convinced on Reddit that we might, you know, right then and there. Because sometimes, hey, look, this would not be the first time an announcer gave something away premature, accidentally, and even then, he didn't really do that. But I don't know. And, you know, the thing with the motorcycle, because last year Triple H came out on a motorcycle, so that could be, you know, anybody, I guess. But, I mean, hey, The Undertaker, American Badass, came out on a motorcycle. Coincidence? I don't know. I hope 100% we see the American Badass, because last year when he lost to Roman Reigns, he took his gear and he left it in the ring. So right then and there, that right there could tell you, you know, the Phenom, the dead man, The Undertaker, he was, you know, he's done right there. But, you know, let's just say the American Badass Undertaker is still undefeated at WrestleMania. Just saying. It's true.
But I do have to warn you. I got to warn you the other night or a couple of weeks ago, Coach also called Bo Dallas Rhino. So you might want to kind of take it for what it's worth whenever he says something.
That.
He may know what he's talking about, or he may think he knows what he's talking about.
To be fair,
and I love the Coach.
To be fair, I remember watching Raw Live when he said that, and I knew Rhino wasn't in the ring, but when I looked at Bo Dallas from the back, I was convinced Rhino was in the ring for about 3 seconds. I was like, wait, is that Rhino? Like, he really did look like Rhino from behind. Now, granted, Bo Dallas is a little bit smaller than Rhino, but Like, I saw it on TV, and I was like, wait, when did Rhino come? Like, I legit, for 5 seconds, thought Rhino was in the ring because of what Coach said and because of the view I had of Bo Dallas. So I understood that. I was like, okay, I understand where he messed up there. Because
Bo heard that and started doing setups immediately. As soon as he got in the back, he heard that. And, oh, my God.
Man, that was really good. So, all right, Ryan, I got this question for you. Of all the matches, including a possible Cena-Undertaker match, what match would you say you are looking most forward to watching at WrestleMania?
Oh, my gosh. As you guys said, a lot of it I won't see. I'm pretty sure what I'll do is just open up the house and barbecue and leave the TV on all day because then just walk past it. It's like Super Bowl Sunday now, which is kind of what WrestleMania is. It is our Super Bowl. You just sort of start with the pregame hype, and all day long it's on TV. And that's great. I think that's a great thing that we have an all-day event. So having ran down that long card, I'm still going to say, as an old-school guy, as a guy who wants to see those big in-the-ring moments, and I've seen it before, but I want to see it on the big stage, Nakamura and Styles is the one match I'm looking forward to the most.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100%. That's the match I would have chosen because I hope that they just tell those two guys, you got 35, 40 minutes, go out there, do what y'all do, because if they do that, I don't want to be the people that follow that match. That they're gonna, like I said, there's gonna be a roof on the Superdome. It may not be there after this match is over, but because they're gonna bring it down. I tell you what. Now, I will make this argument, because obviously with WrestleMania matches comes the build up to WrestleMania. The best build up to any of these matches so far, I would argue Brock and Roman have had maybe the best build up of any of the matches because AJ and Nakamura, they're kind of building it up, but not like Roman and Brock. The Intercontinental title match, a lot of maybe Charlotte, Asuka, but even then they're still on two different brands. Maybe Cesaro, Sheamus versus Braun Strowman. That's been a pretty solid build up because now we're still trying to figure out who Braun's partner is. And then maybe Kurt Angle, Ronda Rousey, Triple H, Stephanie's in there too. Daniel and Shane, Kevin and Sammy, that's probably second in my opinion as far as the build-up because this storyline has been going on for about 7 months now, and everybody's been waiting, is Daniel going to wrestle? And finally we know he's going to wrestle. So I would say that's second, but I would argue Brock and Roman so far have had the best storyline build-up to any of these matches so far. That's just my opinion. What do y'all think?
Well, pretty much the storyline is just kicking the crap out of each other.
That's way better. Remember, look, I've been saying it because the build-up to WrestleMania 31 match was garbage. It was, let's call it what it is. It was garbage. When you're playing tug-of-war in the middle of the ring with the WWE World Heavyweight Championship at the time, like, it was hard to watch for me. But this, Roman coming out, where's Brock? He's not here. He ain't showing up. Like, why is he, And then he shows up, and, like, he was handcuffed, beat the hell out of him. Then last week they finally get to fight. Brock still beats the hell out of him. We're going to see another brawl this 2 nights on Monday Night Raw, those two. And I think they're going to actually put on a really good match. Mm-hmm. A lot of people, the only bad thing about this match is I think we all know who's going to win this match. That's the only downfall. If we thought Lesnar was going to win this match, then yeah, this is going to be, I think it's going to be a good match nonetheless. But that's what takes away from it is the fact that we pretty much know who's going to win this match, and that's the only downfall for me. But other than that, I'm really looking forward to this match.
Mm-hmm. Now, the other thing that we've been talking about off the air that is really intriguing about WrestleMania is the Sami KO, Daniel Bryan, Shane match. Now, Ryan, give me your take on this, because when Patrick first came out and he said, man, I think that the Shane McMahon hospital thing may be a work, and at first I was like, I don't know. But then I'm thinking it might be a work because the dude supposedly has Brock Lesnar guts. And then he's got an umbilical hernia that he has to get, fixed. But yet he's still going to wrestle in WrestleMania. There's no way that a doctor is going to clear this dude after an abdominal hernia surgery.
Yeah, there's been a lot of chaos with injuries. And, obviously there was the scare with AJ, too, recently, which he kind of came out and cleared up that he's going to be 100% at Mania. The Shane thing is really, particularly makes me think that if he is able to go, we might be seeing his last time as a competitor. First of all, he's getting older as it is, and the falls off the cage and things like that are going to start taking the toll on the body. But at the same time, I mean, diverticulitis, I believe, is what they said it was. That's not anything to play around with. I mean, that put Brock out of UFC for a while. So, I don't know. I mean, as far as the match goes, I'm not expecting a lot of Bryan in his first match. Certainly not going to expect a lot from Shane if he can do anything. At the end of the day, I think we know how that one's going to turn out, too. Sammy and KO are coming back, and they're not going anywhere because they're hot right now. They're the hottest heels on SmackDown. So they just got to get through this match, let Daniel Bryan get his pop, work through it. I'm not expecting much from the match, but I think the response to it will be huge.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I do want to say one thing. Obviously AJ and Shinsuke should be the match of the night. A match, and you probably know where I'm going with this. One of the matches I think that's going to be so much fun to watch, but it's going to end up being on the pre-show, is that Cruiserweight Championship match. Cedric Alexander and Mustafa Ali. I've been on the Mustafa Ali train since the night after WrestleMania last year when he fought Neville.
You've been the conductor on that train.
I have been, and Mustafa Ali is one of the smoothest cats I've ever seen in the ring, in my opinion. And that match him and Cedric will put on at WrestleMania. Unfortunately, it will probably be on the pre-show. But, man, Ryan, I know you'll probably be barbecuing, walking in and out. If you don't catch this match live, man, you need to go back. I don't know how much you've ever seen of Mustafa Ali or Cedric Alexander, how much 205 Live you probably watch. I watch a little bit here and there. But I tell you what, I've seen Mustafa Ali on numerous occasions on TV, and I am a huge fan of the way the dude moves around in the ring. It's like he's so fluent, he's so smooth. He looks good. He makes his opponents look good. I mean, like, to me, I'm not, proclaiming him the best cruiserweight on the planet, but the dude makes people look good like AJ Styles makes people look good sometimes, so in my opinion. And I think that match, the Cruiserweight Championship match, has the potential to not only steal the spotlight of the pre-show, but maybe even WrestleMania, because I'm telling you, these two dudes, they're going to put on a clinic in that wrestling ring, and I'm really looking forward to that match just because it's Mustafa Ali. I'm a huge fan.
Yeah, and I don't think that's going to be on the pre-show, because I think if anything makes the pre-show, it's that big steamer that's the men's Battle Royal.
Yeah, both Battle Royals should be on the pre-show unless...
But the women's Battle Royal looks interesting.
The only way I could see the men's Battle Royal being on the main show, there's rumors, obviously, maybe Samoa Joe comes back and wins the men's Battle Royal. That could be something interesting, probably worth putting on the main show. Maybe if Shaq comes out again and joins the Battle Royal, I don't know, but I don't think we'll see that. But this is I think the two Battle Royals, the Cruiserweight title, those are going to be the three. They might put a fourth one, maybe the SmackDown Tag Team Championship. Well, they shouldn't do that because the SmackDown Tag Team division has been killing it over the past year, in my opinion. It was a shame that the SmackDown Tag Team titles weren't even defended at last year's WrestleMania. I'm trying to think what other matches. Maybe Alexa Bliss and Nia Jax could be on the pre-show. That's the only one, and that's the only other one I could see being on the pre-show, honestly. So we get 3, maybe 4 matches on the pre-show, and then everything else will be on the main card. But either way, I think I'll be watching through and through as much as I can.
Yeah, definitely. WrestleMania weekend is going to be absolutely epic. Ryan, what should we expect on the GorillaPosition.com for WrestleMania weekend?
Monday, I'm going back to doing my Monday columns again, the power of the pin, and I will be talking about how we're going to be like a kid in a candy store this week with all the kaleidoscope of colors we have in pro wrestling, and it's happening in a great city for it, New Orleans, where, let's face it, magic comes to life, doesn't it? And a few other things come to life as well in New Orleans, but we won't go into that in the column. We'll just talk about the rest. And as far as also, we're always going to keep rolling out the big features. I want to do a story coming up on a gentleman named Dan Bynum, who's been a producer in wrestling for years. He works with MLW now. We've got that coming up, and we'll have a lot of WrestleMania, Ring of Honor, all that coverage. Every week we roll out at least a couple feature stories and some original columns and just stuff that you can't get anywhere else. So that's kind of our hook at the gorilla position.
Exactly. We've been talking with Ryan K. Bowman, Miami Herald, OneWrestling.com, TheGorillaPosition.com, and he writes for a whole bunch of stuff too. Find him on Facebook, add him as a friend. Also, find the group on Facebook. Just put in The Gorilla Position. Go ahead and add yourself to that. You can always catch Ryan and his crew stories there as well. On your browser, thegorillaposition.com. Go ahead and favorite it. Put it in your bookmarks. If you're a wrestling fan, you definitely want to check this site daily for amazing stories. Ryan K. Bowman, thank you so much for joining us today, bud.
Thank you, guys. And you got a great show, and I'm so happy to be able to say that I've finally been on it.
We're glad to have you on, man. It's great having you. We hope to have you on sometime in the future,
forever.
man.
It's an honor and a pleasure. Seriously, thank you so much for having me, guys.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for coming on with us.
Yeah, definitely. And that's right back at you. We appreciate your time so much. So with that being said, find us on the internet, MarkOutMania.com. You can listen to the podcast in so many different avenues. You can find us there. Also, we got some exclusive content that's on our YouTube page. And again, if you want to help support the show, just hit our Patreon link. You can listen to the show live and uncut for $1 a month. If you want to support more, you can check out all of our different support avenues right there on our Patreon page. Got some really cool stuff for you guys as swag. We'll send you stuff in the mail and stuff like that. So it's a pretty cool deal if you support the show through our Patreon page. But again, Ryan K. Bowman, thegorillaposition.com. He's been gracious enough to be with us for a whole hour, and that rocks. Thank you so much.
Outro.
You've been listening to the Mark Out Mania podcast, a Lake Area Media LLC production. The views and opinions expressed in this show are those of Ryan Keith and Patrick Fry and are not affiliated with any wrestling promotion or company. Follow Mark Out Mania on Facebook and subscribe to us on YouTube. For all Mark Out Mania links, news, and free podcasts, visit MarkOutMania.com. You've been marked.